how are we going to start this one, Dan? Usually, we're very funny to begin with, so what kind of things can we do to make them laugh at the beginning? Usually it's quite high octane, like quite explosive, you know? We like to burst into their eardrums. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean? How are we going to do it? How are we going to convince them that we're really funny this time?
We can say some jokes.
It's going to be hard to think of jokes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be hard.
Why don't you call me an insult and that'll probably be fine.
Okay. Hey, Matt.
Why'd you hurt me like that?
Welcome to Miffs.
I'm Matt Huss.
And I'm Dan Rhodes. Whether you know about Theseus or you're revising your syllabus,
If you want tales with a bit of jest, or you just want to hear about incest.
What?
What? It's really interesting.
Welcome to Miffs. Welcome to Miffs.
Welcome to Miffs. Are you clapping because you have nothing to say?
I'm clapping because at the start of theatre, people clap. Do they clap? No, they don't really.
You're an actor! How do you not know?
No, because sometimes you'll be like, welcome to the stage, blah de blah, and then you clap them on, don't you?
Yeah,
you get clapped onto the stage. Woo! Miffs podcast, yeah!
Firstly, that's
Woo,
more...
sounds a bit like our belly slap. Woo!
Can we do a belly slap?
No, we're not doing a belly slap again. That was the
2019
weirdest thing I've ever done, when we were sweaty and hot and we belly slapped.
You ate 12 Weetabix on this podcast. How dare you say that's the weirdest thing that you've done? You know, and also, like, people applaud when people are welcome to say stand up. But what I hate, what happened with, I went to New York and I saw Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen doing Waiting for Godot.
Okay, yeah.
And it was amazing. It was great. Got the signatures afterwards, and it's genuinely one of the most awkward things in my life. But we'll get to that in a sec. But like when the stars are on stage, obviously they're stars, and people like whoop and cheer, like woo, yeah, woo. It's like it's supposed to be theatre. Come on, mate. Come on, don't like. It's weird, right? That's not very British, is it?
No, that's true. That's true.
But oh god, I remember I got the signatures from Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Right, I waited outside the stage doors and stuff like that, and I was like, I can't remember what I said exactly, but it was along the lines of, "Hey, is Waiting for Godot a prequel to The Hobbit?" And they were like, "Oh no."
Oh, that's awkward.
I was like, more like Waiting for Frodo, am I right?
And they were like, get out, we've had your autograph.
I can't remember what I said exactly, but it's on my Facebook, because I put it on my Facebook sometime, and it was genuinely, like, they were like good-hearted about it, but they obviously like, we don't know what this kid's saying. By kid, I mean I was 20 years old at this point.
That's funny. That's funny.
Anyway, talking about awkward moments, Dan, do you want to hear something I did recently?
Oh my good god. Is this incriminating in any way?
No, but it's Matt Hoss level of awkward.
Okay, go on then.
Okay, so I did a gig in Whitstable recently. It was a big gig with Andrew O'Neill.
I'm going to pretend like I know who that is.
It's a big rock comedian, and he was doing his show. Really funny. I was running the event, so I could have a couple of drinks throughout it as well. My friends were there. People who are staying in Whitstable, Luke and Susie, and they had their friends Rob and Gemma.
Holy shit, there's like 4 friends from Matt Hoss.
It's like more than like 400% increase. But with so Rob and Gemma were also there, and they're brother and sister, right? And we're all good friends with each other. But I don't really know Rob and Gemma that well.
Okay.
But you know, very friendly with them. And we had a really good night. We decided to have drinks back at the flat for a bit. And Dan, I don't want to brag, but I was on top form.
Okay.
Right? Jokes, busting them out, big laugh.
Banter,
Yeah,
laughter.
Yeah, like, you know, imagine me at a comedy gig, but, you know, with laughter.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But so I was, you know, it was a really good night, and we were all laughing and joking on, and it got quite towards the end of the night, and then they were Rob and Gemma were thinking about going back to their flat, because they don't live together, but they live in the same area. And Gemma was, there was this boy who was interested in, bear in mind it was 1 o'clock in the morning. You kind of see if a boy's asking to pick up a lady at that time of night, we were discussing the semantics of that. Okay. It's like, what does that convulse?
Yeah,
you know,
it's because he wants to get her home safely.
That is one of the options. But
so you can have sex with her.
that is one of the other options. Well, we were discussing, does he not? And that's by the by.
But she liked him?
Yeah, I think that they were into each other. Okay. But like, obviously, it was a bit rude to kind of discuss her relationship life, but it was in the good nature of the conversation. Yeah. And we were being quite rude about it, and I felt a little bit bad because we were discussing it. But Gemma was all laughing and joking along. And what happened is that Susie said, "Oh, you should bring this guy over here, and then we can kind of give him a little bit of ribbing, And I said, "Yeah." And we're like, "Hey, are you gonna fuck her?" Yeah, you laughed. They did not. And bear in mind, I was on good set all night. I thought I'd been rocking it, and so clearly I misjudged that vibe. Because Rob was like, "I don't want to hear about my sister having sex." And I was like, "Oh god!" And Susie looked at me with genuine hatred, and then the boys started laughing because of the awkwardness of the situation. And I was like, "At least I got some pity laughs. Pity laughs are fine at this point." And it's so weird to go from like, "Yo, Matt, you're so funny." What the fuck did you say, Matt? It was such a... And I was like, I've gone past the point here. Like, I hit the very awkward moment, but yeah. And
I think it was a funny joke.
Yeah, I did too, but not... It's quite clear I've made a joke, so I had to kind of apologise. It was quite rude. So I was like, yeah, I do apologise. And she was absolutely fine with it. I was like... Oh, like, the next day, I was so shameful, if you know what I mean. I thought about that all day, if you know what I mean. Like, the moment's like, well, fuck you! Total silence, man. Oh, it's a hot burning shame. That's how Matt lost. If you think I'm anything more, if you think like, Matt Hoss is really good, he lives the high life. I don't. I am amongst the cretinous you. I am so absolutely awkward and awful. Like, but then again, this is great because it's like my comedy in one. Like, my life has to be miserable for me to be good on stage. If you know what I mean. This podcast is a success because I, have gay existential crisis all the time.
And admit to things like this.
Yeah, right. But I like it because, like, I love being honest on this podcast as well. Like, not always honest because I can't, people listen to it, so yeah, can't bitch about people. But
yeah, that's true.
Noah. That's a joke. I love you, Noah. Okay, so before we go on, we've actually had some correspondence recently, Dan. Put that episode 4 trumpet down. We let it out for episode 50 for that one time, but you don't put it back, Dan.
Sorry.
Right.
Correspondence, as in a letter through the post.
Yes, a letter.
It arrived by owl.
It actually arrived through a virtual owl.
Through a virtual owl.
In email. And
a tweet?
No, it's email. Sorry, that's a joke. I didn't realise you were doing a joke there.
Thank you.
I'm so not used to you doing jokes.
Okay. What is the email?
Essentially, it's tailored around you, Dan. Okay, no response. Okay, fine. What?
No, I'm trying to think of who it could be.
Now, you don't. You
Have I got an admirer?
What?
Have I got an admirer?
Not quite.
It's the opposite of admirer. Someone thinks I'm terrible and that it should just be your podcast.
Well, yeah, that's my opinion.
Barack Obama emailed us in.
Let me say that what was quite a slick segue, you really stumbled all over. So we got an email asking, "Hey, Dan, do you work at a Belgian bar?" Now, because one of my friends, a fan of the podcast, they were at this Belgian bar in London, and they heard a very similar voice, and it was a man behind the bar who looked and spoke like you. So, Dan, do you work in a Belgian bar?
Drum roll, please. No.
I did tell him no. But who is this imposter? This imposter thinks, hey, I can milk Miss Fame for all it's worth, like, those boys must be rolling in it. Have you seen their Patreon page, which no one has donated to yet? I mean,
a Belgian bar?
Someone's imposter.
Like Belgian fruit beers and stuff like that?
Yeah, kind of like a fancy bar.
I've worked in the bar of every other nationality, but never a Belgian bar.
The Kenyan bars, who?
Yeah, I nearly choked on a Belgian bum when I was 10 years old, and I haven't forgiven them.
Really?
Also went to Brussels and it was shit. Actually, Brussels is quite nice, to be fair. I'll take that back. The chocolates are nice. Guillon. I like Guillon chocolates. Very delicious.
I'm not sure if I included this, but when I was at Dan's a couple of weeks ago, Dan had some Guillon chocolates, obviously Belgian chocolates,
yep.
And it says artisanal good chocolate.
Yeah.
And throughout the recording during that day, I used to just put my finger over the artisan bit, so it looked like anal good chocolate. And Dan didn't pick up on it, and he didn't laugh when I told him about it either.
Oh, you kept doing it. I was like, why do you keep touching that box of chocolates, you weirdo? It's because he was suddenly trying to see that I could see that it says anal chocolates.
That's so immature.
But no, I don't work in a Belgian bar.
Do you have aspirations to work in a Belgian bar?
Drum roll, please.
No.
No, I don't. No.
But
No, I don't. I want to meet this guy though. I might have a doppelganger.
Yeah. Do you reckon I have Nick Frost?
Yeah, Nick Frost is your doppelganger.
Maybe. Maybe who is this over Dan Rhodes?
Yeah, who's
Dan
this
Rhodes
over Dan
2.0. Maybe it's your long lost brother.
My long lost twin brother. Yeah,
Maybe he's more successful than us.
probably.
Figuring smart.
Probably. Because nothing says success like working behind a Belgian bar. No, I really need to find this guy though. Please.
If you
Get
are
more-
this person, if you work in a Belgian bar, please email us at misspodcast@gmail.com, and you can.
Just with the subject heading, I think I might be Dan Rhodes.
Yeah. Am I Dan
Am
Rhodes?
I Dan Rhodes?
Also, we
We can make an incredible documentary of this, like a Netflix documentary about finding Dan Rhodes.
but it turns out that the actual journey is just about finding who you are.
Who
inside.
I am, yeah, inside. We never found the guy that worked in the Belgian bar, but I sure found something else. I'll do an American accent for the podcast, or for the Netflix, obviously.
Can we do the whole of this myth in American accents?
We can do, but how many people will actually continue to listen to it?
Just us two, I imagine. Anyway,
We've got a big one today, haven't we, Matt?
oh humdinger, oh baby, it's a big one, and we'll tell you more after this jingle.
Boom! I hurt myself because that jingle hit me so hard in the feels.
Nice.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to announce the first of the Odyssey saga.
Woo!
Genuinely, this is my... Stop it. Stop clapping. Stop. I'll tickle you. Okay, so... Welcome to the Odyssey saga.
Out of context, that is going to sound creepy.
I like it. So, even in context, it's kind of creepy.
I'm going to tickle you. Oh, funny.
Welcome to the Odyssey saga. What it means is that we're going to, for the next string of episodes, we don't know how long it's going to be, but for the next, at least for 5 episodes, we're going to be, probably a lot more, we're going to be looking at the Odyssey and everything that entails. And we're going to try and do it not as swift as possible, but we don't want it to drag on.
Admitting that we don't know how many episodes this is going to take is already giving away. We're missing the illusion that we're super professional. We plan
Should we
week,
cut
and we
that
plan
out?
months and months ahead.
Yeah, but then again, I think if you've listened to 52 episodes at this point, I don't think like, wow, these guys are professional, wow.
Wow, these guys must plan so far in advance. I mean, Matt couldn't even speak last week. But they really plan ahead, yeah.
That Atlas trap where he couldn't think of a single rhyme was perfect, wow. You must really think about it.
No, yeah, the Odyssey, this is going to be exciting.
It's my favourite myth of all time, and to kind of give a very quick summary of it, essentially it's 20 years after the start of the Trojan War. The cunning Odysseus is trying
We've
to...
met Odysseus in a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Odysseus is trying to find his way home to Ithaca. That's the basis of it. And throughout this course of the next couple of weeks and maybe months, we're going to be looking at the story of Odysseus and how he gets home and what happens as well.
Because there wasn't any sat-nav or Google Maps back then. You had to use a real map, and they're really confusing, so you can see why it took him so long to find where he was going.
If only he had a gene
Boat specialist, yeah.
he would have been home in a jiffy. But yeah, so he spent 10 years at sea trying to get back. And the whole point of it is about homecoming. That's the whole point.
But lots of things happened to him along the way.
Yes, and as I say, there's a lot of stories that happen to it. And this is obviously the first part was the Iliad, which we kind of covered with the Troy series, and now Odyssey is part 2. Really, it's not really connected, but it's kind of like in the same series, if you know what I mean. And it's created by Homer, and it was originally like a spoken word epic poem. So. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. There's loads of... in the book, it's 24 books long, and that's about like big 24 chapters. So there's a lot of content to happen. But we'll try and... In the first section, we're going to be looking in the first 4 books. In this episode, we're going to look at something called the Telemachus. And Telemachus is... I'll be honest, the the first 4 books of the Odyssey are quite boring because what happens? It's a nice build. We don't actually see Odysseus until book 5, right?
Okay.
So in the first 4 books, it's kind of like a build-up. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
so the first 4 episodes of Miffs.
No, it's like watching. I don't know. Like it's like watching a TV program where you don't see the hero until the 5th episode.
Okay.
It's like watching Gotham before you watch Batman.
Okay.
I was going to do a sports reference, but I don't know it. It's like watching, like no.
Go on, try a sports
Okay,
reference.
when you're about to watch a live football game,
Okay.
and you have to wait. You know the bit with the commentator, and they're all like kind of they're standing in the lines and singing the national anthems and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like watching that bit. It's like the boring bit, and then you watch the football game.
Okay.
Is that good?
I get what you mean, yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't perfect, was it?
No, but it will do. It will suffice.
Matt Hoss did a sports reference.
Matt Hoss did do a sports reference, though.
Oh, I bet that's like Jordan, you know, the basketball player. Michael Jordan. Nailed it. Anyway, without further ado, this is the book 1 to 4 of the Odyssey, and it's about Odysseus' son, Telemachus. So, at the very start of the book, the narrator, Homer, calls upon the muse to help him tell the story of Odysseus. And as I mentioned, we pick up 10 years after the fall of Troy, 20 years after the original start of it, and he's trying to return home. However, as I mentioned, he's not actually... we're not going to focus on him, but he's actually cast aside on the island of Ogygia, and he's been there for the last 8 years as a captive of the beautiful goddess Calypso. But we'll get onto that point next week. So he's Odysseus is on the island trapped, and Zeus has sent Hermes to essentially go and figure out the problem. But that's by the by. This is
already like a movie. Like, we've started off with him already on the island.
Yeah.
Straight to the action. We don't know how he got there. He's just on an island.
I say straight to the action, but we're going to spend the next about 20 minutes dithering. So there's Hermes has been sent by Zeus to set him free because he's been there for 8 years. However, we don't need to focus on that for the time being. We'll talk more about that next week. Okay. But back on, let's go back to Ithaca, where there's problems brewing. In a disguise as an old friend of Odysseus, Athena, the goddess, travels to his manor in Ithaca, and it is overrun by noisy, lustful suitors intent on marrying Odysseus' wife, Penelope. So
Ithaca is where Odysseus is trying to get to. That's his home. He's been away for 20 years.
Yes, he's the king of Ithaca, but he's been gone for 20 years.
A lot's happened.
And when he left, his son was it was brewing in her mum's stomach, if you know.
Yes.
That was the worst way to say pregnant.
Wow, that was creepy. Brewing in his mum's stomach.
That's not even correct, is it?
Oh, God.
Sounds like a fart.
She's brewing her husband in her belly.
Shut up.
So Athena has disguised herself.
Yeah, because she's like, oh, there's something bad happening here. So she's come find out the source of the problem and help it. Because just to kind of give some oversight, the gods are for and against Odysseus. Poseidon, the god of the sea, hates Odysseus and is trying to stop him from getting home at all costs. Athena, however, is on his side and always tries to help him. And so he has a lot of divine intervention to help him along the way.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that in more detail soon. Since Odysseus has been gone for 20 years, in the last 10 years or so, after the fall of Troy, everyone assumes Odysseus is dead. He hasn't returned home for 10 years, you know. Everyone else has returned home, but he hasn't. So everyone assumes that he's dead. But Penelope, the queen of Ithaca...
Yeah, because they're like, the Trojan War was a while ago, and he hasn't come back, so he's obviously dead.
But still, Penelope's still holding out faith. But it's been 10 years now. Yeah. So the people of Ithaca, all the men are like, oh, hey, I could be king of Ithaca, you know, so maybe I should do that. So all these suitors go up to the palace, and they're trying to court Penelope as much as possible. Okay.
Because dramatic irony is we know he's shipwrecked on an island.
Yeah, he's still trying to get home, but no one else knows that. Of course, there's no mobile phones or sat navs in those days. So that's where people are trying to court Penelope.
Yeah.
But I think there's... I'll tell you this now, because I think it might appear later on, but I might as well tell you this now. Penelope doesn't want to marry any of these people whatsoever. So she's locked away in her room, and she says that, oh, I've got to finish off... basically, she has this project. She has this loom in her room, and she's trying to create a massive like tapestry or quilt. Because once I finish this tapestry or quilt, I can choose a husband. However, since she doesn't want to choose it, she keeps on breaking the loom, and so I can't finish it. You know.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So she's trying her best
stall
to
the
stall
suitors,
as much as
yeah,
possible.
because she still thinks that Odysseus is alive somewhere.
Well, she has an inkling, but she can't ever know.
Yeah.
And but it's been 10 years, and you know she's getting quite a lot of pressure. But so all these suitors around the house, in their manor house, and they're getting drunk there all the time, and they're partying, and so they're taking over the manor, and it's kind of gone to madness. And it's but Telemachus still lives there, Odysseus' son, and he's kind of picking up the pieces.
Okay.
So Odysseus' son Telemachus, unhappy amongst the suitors, greets Athena warmly as a stranger, because he doesn't know who she is, just an old friend, and invites her to the feast. As the suitors devour Odysseus' oxen, Telemachus says he believes his father, whom he does not know at all, is dead. Athena introduces herself as Odysseus' old friend, Mentes, and predicts that he will soon be home. Telemachus doesn't hold out any hope, however, and he and his mother remain helpless against the arrogant suitors. Athena instructs him to call an assembly of the islanders and order the suitors away. Then he must sail away to find news of his father at Pylos in Sparta. After this, he must kill the suitors, like Orestes in the Oresteia. If you remember, Orestes killed his mum Clytemnestra and cleansed the dirt from his house. This happened about 10 years ago as well. So I say it's all part of the same series as well. Inspired by this, Telemachus thanks this kind stranger for her advice, and then she leaves. So just a couple of things to mention here. As I mentioned in the past, we talked about hospitality rights. Xenia, it's called.
You have to invite someone into your home.
Being kind and courteous. And this kind of demonstrates a good person. So Telemachus is very noble and very lovely. So this stranger comes to the door, invites him in, gives him food and warmth, and it turns out that they're there to help them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it means that he's very courteous in hospitality, and that means he's very pious and he's a good person.
Yeah.
Do try and spot it later on when it's people, we'll see with Calypso, they aren't that courteous. They do some good things, but not always very courteous as house guests, and that's quite impious. And those are normally quite bad people. So, and it basically, see how people treat strangers in the entirety of this myth, if you know what I mean. I realise I'm not as funny this episode because I'm nerding out quite a lot. I'll do more funny jokes later on, don't worry.
So every now and then I'll chuck in a joke just to...
Yeah, I'd be like, sex. The beautiful Penelope joins the suitors and asks the minstrel to stop singing the songs of homecoming of the Greeks after the Trojan War, as it reminds her of her husband's absence. Which, bear in mind, that's actually quite...
Yeah, so he's in the hallway of the house. Everyone got successfully home from the Trojan War. It was a huge success. Nobody died. She's standing right there, and her husband might be dead. Whoopsie daisy. I mean, not everyone survived. One person may have died. It's your husband. I'll make my way out of the house.
Thank God you're not a minstrel. Oh my God, I can't believe they prepared that song for us. Wow, oh my God, he did that was rap. Then he wrote that song. Amazing, they did it in advance. That's the voice of the person who believes this show is slick. But Telemachus reminds her that many did not return from the war. She, sadly, returns to her room and weeps for Odysseus. Telemachus tells the suitors that at daybreak he will call an assembly and banish them from this estate. Two of the suitors ask about the identity of the man Telemachus was speaking to, because they thought he was a bit suspicious. Even though Telemachus didn't know the identity, he knew that the person was immortal, but he just dismisses it as a family friend. Anyway, that's the end of book 1, and we're going to go...
Wow, can you imagine all that being in one book? Good God.
That's it's like a chapter, though.
It's more of a chapter,
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say.
But it's just it's just the way it was different back then. But, guys, get ready for some... oral epic poetry history right here, because this epic poetry would be learned off by heart and spoken out loud to audiences. It's not supposed to be written down, if you know what I mean. It was passed down through generations by speaking it. So these books are probably released episodically, if you know what I mean. So you learn the story of Odysseus through different parts.
Okay, yes.
So that's oral history. Like, it's an oral poem. So think of it like that, if you know what I mean.
It's like episodes of a TV series.
Yeah, but like kind of like more segmented, if you know what I mean. But with if you ever look at the actual text, there'll be certain words like because it's also fit to a 10 beats per bar. So it's the way that it's translated. There's a lot of stock phrases, and it's supposed in Greek. It hits like lots of. It's supposed to be 10 beats for every word. It hits a pentameter, if you know what I mean. So it's really cleverly done as well. And oh god, I love facts, but also to do with translations as well. Like I find that deeply fascinating because like they're trying to reflect what's happening true to the words, but also trying to reflect the story in the most colloquial way as possible. As well. It depends on what translation you're looking at as well.
Yeah, so it's not like really confusing for us to read.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also I think it's reflecting of the times when it's been translated at, if you know what I mean. Anyway, tell us about book 2, Dan.
At daybreak, Telemachus calls an assembly of the suitors and other islanders. He tells them that the suitors' disgraceful behaviour and angrily tries to shame them into leaving. So he's like, you guys have been terrible to my mum, you've been ransacking our manor house.
You've been eating all our food for the last 10 years. Come on, man.
But
Antinous
puts the blame on Penelope, who has been teasing and deceiving the suitors for years. Because when she promised to marry after she wove a shroud for her dead husband's father, Laertes. Does that make any sense to you? I'm really sorry.
Let me clarify.
Yeah, can you just sum this up? I can't read that. That sentence makes no fucking sense.
Antinous is blaming Penelope, saying like, "Well, it's her fault because she's teasing us. Like if she would pick a suitor, the rest of us would go home by now." But she's, as I mentioned earlier, she created a loom. She's creating this shroud for.
Yes, and then she keeps breaking it.
And she'll. But just to clarify, Laertes isn't dead. Laertes is still alive. That's Odysseus' father. But he's created a shroud for him for the dead husband.
Yeah. The cunning Penelope unwove each day's progress at night for 3 years. Her trick was eventually discovered, and she had to finish the shroud. Antinous, one of the suitors, gives Telemachus a choice: evict his mother or make her marry one of them. Telemachus rejects his offer, telling the suitors to leave and begging aid from Zeus.
Okay, so just to let you know, Antinous is the worst suitor. He's the leader of them, and he's the most vile, horrible one.
And he's like, just pick one, you wench.
That's the voice. Very much. He's very much the alt-right of these guys. Like, well, it's her fault. He's kind of victim blaming her. Like, if she would, obviously, wouldn't just eat at your house all day if you should married one of us. So he's kind of putting pressure on, and like, there's a growing. Desire for... there's a lot of pressure for her to pick someone.
Zeus quickly sends down 2 eagles to attack the suitors. Brian the Eagle was one of them.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a job!
An omen of death, but the suitors deny the sign and insist things will remain as they are. They have been waiting too long for the prize of Penelope. Telemachus changed his tract, requesting a ship and crew for him to find news of his father at Pylos and Sparta, so that's like Athena told him to do.
Yeah.
If he finds out he is dead, he will allow his mother to remarry. Before the assembly breaks, it is decreed that Odysseus' old friend, mentor, and Halitherses...
It's actually Halitherses.
Halitherses will help him obtain the ship and crew.
So, Telemachus' mission in these books is to find out whether his father is dead or alive.
Okay.
If he's dead, let her remarry.
If he's alive, then bring him back and... Telemachus calls upon the god who helped him yesterday. Athena returns to him in the form of Mentor, praises his abilities derived from his father, and assures him that his voyage will be successful. She promises to find him a ship and crew and help him sail, and tells him to get provisions ready at home. There, I can never say this guy's name. Antinous tries to make amends and offers to help him get a ship and crew, but Telemachus coldly rejects him. The suitors mock him while he readies himself for the trip, careful not to let his mother know about his plans. So that guy's like, I'll come with you, and then he's like, nah mate, I'm not an idiot.
Well, I think he wants him. He wants to give him a ship so he can have the house to himself.
Yes, yeah. Meanwhile, Athena walks around town disguised as Telemachus, inviting men to meet up at nightfall at a ship she has borrowed / stolen. At night, Athena makes the suitors fall asleep and, in the form of Mentor, informs Telemachus of the arrival of his crew. She leads him to his ship. His crew packs up their provisions, and they disembark with Athena on board. They drink to the gods, and especially Athena. She's been a busy little bee, isn't she?
Yeah, but just to clarify, we've had loads of myths about gods being awful, but mostly Zeus. But this is an example of Athena being such a lovely, and that this is what gods are meant to be like, you know, and helping these people through. Although she does help these guys a lot, like more so than any other god does, if you know what I mean. So Athena is one of the most lovely gods there is, if you know what I mean. And she wants to help as much as possible. She's like the goddess of justice, so she really wants to kind of make sure everything works out for people, if you know what I mean.
Yes, yeah.
So, Telemachus and his crew arrive at Pylos, this is book 3 by the way, where a sacrifice to Poseidon of lots of bulls is taking place. Athena encourages the shy Telemachus to seek out old Nestor. Now, do you remember Nestor?
I recognise the name, yeah.
To be honest, I forgot about Nestor. I can't remember what his role is, but he was to do with... Nestor was... Should we Google him quickly?
Nestor is the wise king of Polis, described in Homer's Odyssey.
Polis?
Pylos. It's that place he's at.
Yeah, okay.
It's the king of Pylos. I don't think we come across him.
I think he appeared in the Iliad at some point. He and his men are invited to the feast and pay tribute to Poseidon. Athena prays to Poseidon for the success of their mission. And remember that Odysseus has Poseidon has it out for Odysseus, so appeasing Poseidon is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
After they eat, Telemachus tells Nestor, and Nestor is a person who fought alongside and was a great friend of Odysseus during the Trojan War, that Telemachus is looking for information about his father. Nestor does not know what befell Odysseus. After Troy fell, Athena provoked a fight between the brothers Menelaus and Agamemnon and divided the Achaean camp into two. Those under command of the former, Menelaus, left, whilst those who stayed under Agamemnon's control stayed. Odysseus left, but he and his crew soon returned to please Agamemnon. Nestor and his crew made it back home, as did a few other groups, but many did not. Telemachus laments in his situation with the suitors, and Nestor suggests that Odysseus may return, or perhaps Athena will help him, as she used to do with his father, which is a sly nod to what's happening now.
Yeah.
Telemachus does not believe that the gods will aid him, and even if they did, it would be to no avail. Athena, obviously, disagrees. Telemachus asks Nestor how Aegisthus managed to kill Agamemnon, and Aegisthus was Clytemnestra's boy toy.
Boy toy, yeah.
And do you remember how he killed him?
In the bathtub, right?
Bathtub, with he trapped him in a net and stabbed him to death. Nestor says that while Agamemnon and Menelaus were always fighting, Aegisthus eventually won over Clytemnestra, Agamemnon's queen. He ruled over Agamemnon's kingdom as a tyrant for 7 years before Orestes killed him and Clytemnestra.
Which we also remember happening, yeah.
In which episode?
That is in episode The Oresteia.
At 36 and 37. God, where would you be without me, Dan? Wimbledon. Nestor warns Telemachus not to make the same mistake and stay away from home for too long. He urges him to find Menelaus for more news and offers to provide him with horses, a chariot, and his sons for company. Just to help you out, I've got a chariot. Oh, thank you, and get there faster. I've got some horses so I can drive the chariot. Oh, that's really good, really helpful. Got my sons to keep you company. Thanks. That's not necessary. Athena praises this idea and then disappears as a seahawk. Not an eagle, because Brian's got that domain. The men are stunned, and the proof that the gods are on Telemachus' side inspires Nestor, who pledges a sacrifice to Athena. In the morning, he and his sons make the sacrifice of a golden-horned heifer, and his son, Pistritos, accompanies Telemachus in a chariot. They arrive at Pheroi at night, and then capture Lake Daemon by the next day, and they eventually arrive in Sparta, and then Book 4 happens.
Telemachus and... How are we saying that guy's name?
Pistachio.
It doesn't know that, actually.
Pestritus. Do you want to spell it out, Dan?
Peissistratos.
I think it's Pestritus.
Pestritus.
It does sound like a skin condition, doesn't it?
Telemachus and Pestritus arrive at Menelaus' opulent mansion. Telemachus and Pestritus arrive at Menelaus' opulent mansion in Lake Daemon.
Obviously, Menelaus is Agamemnon's brother, and he was
the wife of Helen, the husband of Helen, who got captured. Is the whole reason it started.
Yeah.
Menelaus welcomes them to the double wedding feast taking place for both his son and daughter. After the travellers, I hope his son and daughter are marrying separate people at the same time, as opposed to each other.
It's really weird.
After the travellers are bathed and fed, Menelaus tells them of his grief for his mates who died at Troy. especially Odysseus. Helen, wife of Menelaus, emerges from her chamber and says their visitor must be Telemachus. Pistritus confirms this and says that Nestor sent them for help from Menelaus. Menelaus gives a moving speech about his feelings for Odysseus, inspiring tears in them all. Pistritus is particularly affected, remembering his brother Antiochus, who basically his brother died at Troy. Helen puts a magical libation in the wine bowl that prevents the drinker from crying that day. I obviously drank that, and there's never...
Yeah, that's your water.
Yeah. She encourages everyone to cheer up and tells a story about Odysseus disguising himself as a beggar during the war. Menelaus recounts the famous anecdote of how Odysseus hid himself and his men inside the wooden horse to invade Troy. Everyone retires to bed.
Okay.
So they're telling great story, like they think he might be dead, and they're just telling good story. Oh, let's all talk about Odysseus. And, we're all friends of his.
It's almost like a funeral. It's like, we don't know where he is, but hopefully we all love him a lot.
Yeah.
But also, we find out what happens to Helen. After all that fuffle and...
she's back with Menelaus.
Yeah, she lives in Sparta now, which is... after a horrible life she's had, at least she has some stability. I mean, she didn't get to choose a husband, but at least it's better than nothing, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, they tell stories of war stories, and everyone is feeling a bit teary-eyed. What happens next, Dan?
The next morning, Telemachus tells Menelaus about his problems with the suitors and asks if he has news of Odysseus. The king is indignant at the behaviour of the suitors and hopes Odysseus can mete out their punishment. He tells of how, on his return from Troy, his men were stranded on an island without any wind. They managed to capture Proteus, the ancient of the sea. Fair enough. Proteus told them that if they made a sacrifice to the gods, they could continue home. He also told him about Agamemnon's murder, and that Odysseus is a prisoner on Calypso's island.
Okay, so...
So now they all know that Odysseus...
is alive.
They didn't necessarily say... Oh, no, he's alive, yeah. He's a prisoner. Telemachus and Pistritus return to Pylos to sail for Ithaca.
Hold on, there's a lot to talk about in that other bit, sorry. So we know a lot here, so we talked about Aeolus recently.
Yeah, the god of the sea, the wind.
So he's... basically, this is alluding to stuff that's going to happen in the future, the stories we're going to hear from Odysseus. But also, it also mentions...
It doesn't say Aeolus, there's a guy called Proteus.
But it's on the same... Basically, it's on the same island. Okay. You know what I mean?
Telemachus and... bottom line is, they know he's alive on an island. That's the main thing.
Which is great news.
It is. Telemachus and Pistritus return to Pylos to sail for Ithaca. Meanwhile, in Ithaca, the suitors find out about Telemachus' journey to Pylos and plan to ambush him on his way home. Penelope learns of their plans and Telemachus' journey and grieves. She calls for help from Athena, who visits her in a dream as Penelope's sister. She assures Penelope she will protect Telemachus, though she cannot tell her anything about Odysseus. Thus ends Book 4.
Wow, and that's where we're going to draw the line for today's myth. That was the end of Telemachus. So we've had 4 books, so kind of just this growing concern and kind of what the state is like in Ithaca. What's the vibe? And we kind of see the cruel nature of the suitors and stuff like that, and also how Penelope's feeling and all that.
Everything's running amok on Ithaca without Odysseus.
So in the first 4 books of the Odyssey, there's no Odysseus, which is... I think it's quite a bold move.
Yes,
I imagine having a movie...
it's very movie-like, though, in the sense that it kind of is... the first scene would be Odysseus washed up on a beach or something, and then it would go to, present-day Ithaca, where everything's going mental.
Yeah.
And dramatic irony is the whole time during this whole episode, we would know what has happened to it.
All right, so let's rank this mother.
Welcome to the Odyssey, where we meet a man stranded at sea, searching for home with varying success. Why didn't he just book a National Express?
Okay, listener, so we just heard the Telemachus. So after this, we don't really focus on Telemachus for a while. So we hear the stories of Odysseus getting back home. But we'll get... So
it's going to chop and change between present-day Ithaca, people trying to find Odysseus, and what's happening to Odysseus himself.
No, well, essentially, the reason why we did all these 4 in one section is because we see the present of Ithaca, but we won't... From now on, we'll see Odysseus' plight. We'll follow him all the way to the very end. But, a lot happens in the stories. But basically, in the later myths, he has essentially an elongated flashback to all his myths. But yeah, so we follow Odysseus from now on, but he eventually returns home and stuff happens.
Yeah.
So I'll say it's a bit of a weird start to the saga, not quite action prone or anything like that. But then again, I think that all good starts need like a introduction to it, and I think it's a nice introduction. So Dan, let's talk about life skills. What practical things did we learn in this myth?
We learned that
How to disguise ourselves.
how to disguise ourselves a lot.
How to be.
We learned how to make a shroud.
Yes, and how to break stuff.
How to break stuff.
How to be hospitality based.
Hospitable, yeah.
Yeah,
How
that's the
to
word I was looking
be. How to sail to places.
Yep. How to eat people's stuff for free.
Yeah. How to be.
How to clear people out.
How to have a feast and celebrate someone's life.
How to create a potion to stop people from crying.
How to send eagles down to hurt some people.
Also, how to not read omens as well.
How to not read omens, yeah.
We also learned, I guess, how to get a crew, stuff like
How
that.
to get a crew and a ship, yeah, that's true.
We learned how to tell stories. And
Learn how to tell stories.
we learned how to hold information back to the last possible moment to create drama.
To create drama, yeah. It's clearly a 6.
Yeah, 6.
6. In the trout.
In the trout. Detrouted.
Morals. We learned that you can help people out. Athena is going against the other gods to help them out.
Yeah. And doing what's right.
Doing what's right.
We learned that even when all looks bad, have hope, because, your father could still be
Well,
alive.
that's actually a big moral, to be fair, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one, yeah, that's a big one.
We learned, you know what, this is actually a myth which doesn't have too much murder. Don't overstay you're welcome. Don't.
I've been quite impressed with how nice it was so far. Everyone's lovely.
It does get weirder later on,
Yeah.
but it's don't overstay you're welcome. Don't be unhospitable. Don't be a bad egg. Be courteous and giving. Yeah, I guess. Is there anything else in that myth? I guess don't be impious.
Don't be a creepy suitor.
Yeah.
Let a woman grieve.
Yeah.
Let the woman grieve.
Although it has been 10 years, so these guys are like, whoa, why is she still grieving? But obviously...
Well, I suppose he's been away 20 years.
Yeah,
but I suppose they thought he's been dead for 10 years.
Yeah.
What are we thinking?
Because there's not a lot of morals, but the ones we do have are really significant. So maybe a 5 or a 6.
Oh yeah, 6 again.
I'm happy with 6.
Slightly above average.
And it's actually genuine good morals as well here.
Okay. Creativity.
In comparison for the rest of the thing does get a bit more fantastical, particularly the next ones. So I think this is actually quite tame.
Yeah.
It's nice. I like it because it's setting the foundation stone. Of
Yes,
where
I was going to say, it's quite creative. I do like this whole going back and like seeing what's happening in present day Ithaca. I like that whole notion. It's not all about Odysseus.
Yeah, and it's also seeing what he left behind as well.
Yeah.
The reason why he wants to get home. And the fact that, it's quite original that these guys are all in the house just waiting, It's not like... This is a very atypical myth, if you know what I mean. It's not like any others, if you know what I mean. And it's quite rational, if you know what I mean. Like, these guys are all... It's like 132 suitors just sat, in the house getting drunk and on the wine and stuff like that. So I think that's... It's like a plague. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of terror, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're not like evil monsters, but they are monstrous humans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's deeply fascinating. There's also gods as well here.
Yes, yeah.
I'm going to say 6 or a 7.
I was going to go 6 again, to be honest.
You honest? Yeah.
Yeah.
Six
This
is
is
good.
nice. This is going to be 6 all the way through, isn't it? Actually, maybe not WTF. It's not that messed up.
Yeah, that's...
Well, it might be messed up, actually, because you've got the suitors. That's pretty messed up.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. The fact that they don't let her grieve and they blame her. Say
Yeah.
either evict her or marry one of them.
And she's been kept in her own room. She's forced to break artwork just to, avoid marrying a guy. That's quite a scary time for Penelope.
Yeah, and it's a lot on Telemachus' shoulders as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it's too WTF.
No,
though.
it's not at all.
There's nothing too crazy.
Honestly, it's like a 3.
Maybe a 2, to be honest.
2? I could even go for a 2, to be honest. It's really not
Is it?
messed up at all, is
Yeah.
it?
Is it? The only thing is the suitors, really. But
3?
2.
2, okay.
And
So,
that's 20.
6. Add 6. Add 6.
You know it's
Add
20.
2.
20.
It's 20.
You're such an arsehole.
Not bad.
But then again, I think
Setting us up for the rest.
for what I thought was quite a boring myth, because I remember hating these ones, because it's like, why are we even learning this? But the text is much worse. But I think the summary is actually a lot happens in terms
Yes,
of
yeah.
But from henceforth, it does get a bit more. Ooh,
Tasty.
tasty, juicy.
Well, Matt, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me back to episode 52.
Yeah, you are a recurring guest character, apart from episode 38.
Darrow's actually a character I created. It's not even a...
Yeah. What's your real name?
Jonathan Story.
Jonathan Story. We were watching a documentary last night, and the names in that documentary
Yeah,
sound
if anyone's
so
seen
real.
The Innocent Man, one of the guys is called Rusty Featherstone.
And
He's a policeman.
It was like a Titus Obanaki or something like that.
Yeah, and Odell Titsworth.
Odell Titsworth, that was it. God, like, it's just like, because John Grimshaw was the executive producer, and he wrote the actual book on it, as in, like, it's his only non-fiction book. And he was like, well, you know, if I wrote this as a fiction, people wouldn't believe it. And the names are genuinely just, like, perfect.
Matt, what can people do if they like this episode?
You could go into the street and go, look at this podcast I'm listening to! Listen to Miffs podcast!
You can.
With MIFFS, not
You can.
MYFS.
Yeah, or you go and give us 5 stars, or you can email us at... you can tweet or Facebook us at Miffs Podcast, or you can email us, misspodcast@gmail.com,
And
if
let's-
you find a lookalike, for example.
Yes, or like, what other examples... let's say you're listening to this podcast, you want to get in touch. Why would you? What other reasons why you might get in touch? You can tell us, like myths you want to hear about.
Miffs you want to hear about? Times you listen to Miffs?
Where's the weirdest place you've listened to?
Where's
Miffs?
the weird place you listen to Miffs?
Some stuff you want to hear from in the future, and from like Norse mythology and Egyptian and whatever. And it's just stuff like and how much you like the podcast as well. And because we love reading out your email, so why don't you get in touch? It'd be good to hear from you.
It would be.
And if you're an imposter, would you like to come on the podcast?
Yeah.
That'd be funny if you get the Belgian person on and be like, alright mate, yeah, and Dan Roach 2.0. He's actually the other character, yeah.
You have a character of me, yeah. And then the other thing is, gentle reminder, as always, feel free to donate to our Patreon page. That's always very appreciated.
And you can listen to some bonus content there. For example, we're going to be putting up... we took a video of the Weetabix challenge, so if you want to watch Dan do the Weetabix challenge, which I don't recommend you do, Trill, this is genuinely harrowing.
Pretty rank.
Do you remember us filming it?
I do. Well, I do actually.
You haven't seen the video, have
I haven't
you?
seen the video. Though. I don't really want to. No.
It's free. It's really long.
It's just me sitting in a bedroom eating Weetabix.
Because I had to cut a lot from that episode, because a lot of the bits in between are like, oh, I need more milk. It's really gross. And I have such a perturbed look to my face. But if you do want to watch that video, you get to see what Dan's room looks like.
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
You do, yeah. That's
I
one of my
don't know
room.
why you
Yeah.
would want to do that. But, so donate through our Patreon page. We can find on our episode details, or just search on Patreon for Miss Podcast. Or if you want to give us a one-off donation of whatever you want, give us something on Ko-fi. How much would you recommend for 53 episodes so far? How many would you recommend? What would be a suitable donation, Dan?
£1? If everyone listening to this gave us £1,
Yeah,
that's nice.
we would have £10.
We have 57 pence. That's how few people listen.
That was so stupid.
Anyway, guys, I'm over and out. Thanks for listening to the start of what is sure to be a very beautiful month of the Odyssey.
We love you, and we'll sing to you at the end. Sleigh bells ring, are you listening?
Matt. I know we recorded the Christmas special for 2019
Yesterday.
but this is technically going to be February 2019. So
Okay. Should we do like a Valentine's song? This is a Valentine's Day episode. Should we kiss?
you know what? I haven't even thought about that. Yeah.
Oh, maybe we should make out again for the podcast.
If you are listening to this during Valentine's Day, get a fucking life. Love
Wait,
you.
you can't finish on that.
I'm
Dan.
going to finish on that.
Well, we love you. You don't need to make out with any. Just have a lovely day, okay? Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
You fucking losers.
Miffs, 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 Miffs.
So,
because he's a minstrel, does he wear blackface the whole time?
nope,
okay.
not included in it.